Deep in the high mountains of Asia, there's this creature. It's so strange. It feels like it walked right out of a legend. I mean, this thing can weigh up to 770 pounds, and yet it's one of the largest mammals you've probably never even heard of. Still, almost completely shrouded in mystery. So just to give you an idea of how unusual this animal is, listen to this description from the famed biologist George Scheller, one of the few people to have really studied it up close. He called it a bee-stung moose. And honestly, the moment you see its huge, kind of swollen-looking snout, you totally get it. It's a bizarre and totally unforgettable image. And, he's not the only one struggling to describe it. The Takin is so unique, it looks like it was pieced together from a bunch of other animals. That's why some people call it a gwinny goat. It's got the stocky body of a bear, the face of a moose, horns like a wildebeest. Seriously, some say it looks like a character that just wandered right out of a Dr. Seuss book. So, with all these wild descriptions and funny nicknames, you gotta ask, what on earth is this creature? It's time to pull back the curtain and finally meet the real animal behind all the mystery. Okay, but before we get into the science, to really get the Takin, we have to start with its story, its cultural roots. This isn't just any animal. It's a national symbol and a figure of folklore, especially over in the Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan. The legend goes something like this. Way back in the 15th century, this beloved Tibetan saint, known as the Divine Madman, was challenged by his followers to perform a miracle. So after chowing down on a whole cow and a goat for lunch, what does he do? He takes the goat's head, sticks it on the cow's skeleton, snaps his fingers, and just like that, he tells the bones to get up and live. And in that moment, the very first Takin was born, which, according to the story, is why it looks so wonderfully strange. Okay, so that's the legend. Now let's jump from the world of folklore into the world of biology and get a proper introduction to this incredible mountain dweller. Let's see where it actually fits in the animal kingdom. So here's the bottom line. The Takin, or Budorcas taxicolor if you want to get scientific, is what we call a goat antelope. It's related to goats and sheep, sure, but it's really in a class all by itself. This animal is built like a tank with these short, powerful legs and big two-toed hooves that give it incredible grip as it moves across steep, rocky cliffs. And what's really cool is that there are 4 different kinds, and you can tell them apart by their amazing coats and where they live. They go from the dark brown Mishmi Takin all the way to the absolutely stunning, almost mythical golden Takin, which has this beautiful creamy gold coat. So this leads to a really fascinating question. I mean, how does a huge animal like this, weighing over 700 pounds, even survive at altitudes up to 14,000 feet? The air's thin up there, it's freezing. Well, the answer is in some truly brilliant adaptations. So how is it so perfectly designed for the cold? Well, this is where we get into its survival toolkit. We're going to look at 2 key features that let it thrive where most other large animals couldn't even last a day. All right, so adaptation number 1. It brings us right back to the very thing that earned it that bee-stung moose nickname. We are talking, of course, about that incredible nose. So that big, arched snout, it's not just for looks. It's packed with huge sinus cavities that basically work like a natural heat exchanger. Every time it breathes in, that freezing mountain air gets warmed up before it ever hits the lungs. This means the Takin doesn't lose precious body heat just by breathing. It's such a simple but brilliant solution. And the next adaptation is just as clever, and it's all about staying dry in a place where it's almost always foggy or raining. It's basically got its own built-in, all-natural raincoat. So here's the secret. Instead of having regular scent glands like other animals, a Takin's entire body secretes this strong-smelling, oily stuff. This oil coats every single hair in their shaggy fur, making them totally waterproof. And get this, biologists who've been up close say the oil actually has a bitter, burning taste. Wild, right? It's the ultimate all-weather protection. Okay, so we know how they survive the cold. But what's their day-to-day life like? Let's take a look at the social world and the daily routines of these really fascinating herd animals. Well, in the summer, when there's plenty of food up in the high alpine meadows, the Takins get super social. I'm talking massive herds, sometimes with up to 300 animals all hanging out together. It's mostly females, their babies, and the younger males. It's basically one giant family get-together. But then winter hits, and they move down into the valleys where the forests are. Those huge herds break up into much smaller, more mobile groups of about 10 to 35. It's just a smart strategy, right? Helps them find enough food when things get scarce. The older, more mature males often just wander off on their own during this time. And what do they eat? Well, their menu is surprisingly varied. They're herbivores, so they'll eat pretty much any plant they can find, from soft bamboo shoots to tough tree bark. And for such a big animal, they're incredibly agile. They've actually been seen standing up on their back legs, leaning against a tree, just to reach some tasty leaves over 10 feet up. But there's one thing they absolutely need, and that's salt. Salt licks are so important that the herds will travel for miles along these same old, well-worn paths, trails that have been used for generations, just to get to them. They'll often hang out there for days, just stocking up on those vital minerals.
So, we've talked about the herd, but now let's zoom in on the very beginning of a Takin's life. The journey of a newborn calf is pretty amazing and, of course, absolutely crucial for the future of these animals.
So, in the early spring, a mom gives birth to just one calf. It's born with a dark coat, which is perfect camouflage for hiding in the shadows of the forest. And this is what's truly incredible. In just 3 days, the calf is already strong enough to follow its mom across some really tough terrain. As it gets bigger, that dark stripe on its back fades away, its coat gets lighter, and at about 6 months old, its very own horns finally start to grow. And as these calves grow up, the differences between the males and females really start to show. The males, or bulls, get bigger and heavier. They have thicker horns, and their faces often get darker as they get older. The females, or cows, are a bit smaller, with more slender horns, and they tend to stick with the herd for their entire lives. And this brings our whole journey full circle, right back to the world of myths and legends. That stunning, creamy gold coat of the golden Takin, it's so bright and shiny that some people actually believe that this could be the real-life animal that inspired the legend of the Golden Fleece. You know, the treasure that Jason and the Argonauts were searching for in Greek mythology. From a bee-stung moose born from a miracle to maybe even being the source of the Golden Fleece, the Takin is just a true marvel. It's this powerful reminder that our world is still full of creatures that are just as magical as anything you could read in a storybook. And it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden wonders are still out there, roaming the highest peaks, just waiting to be discovered?